Hello, YouTube. It is me, John Avenger, once again. I want to show off my Godzilla shirt because get back a little bit because I'm going to be doing. This is going to be my. I'm finally doing this. This is going to be my best, worst, and some honorable mentions along the way. There's not 10 honorable mentions, but there's going to be like a couple of films I saw that I liked, but they didn't make the list of my best because I didn't want my best to be 20 films. So but it's a top 10. This is going to be the first video, which is the worst. I need a drink because this is going to be a long one. And I'm going to rip these films apart. I'm not holding back. I don't want to talk about these films in the new year. As far as I'm concerned, they can go suck a dick. These are 10 films I saw either in the theater, on my computer, or uh, yeah, pretty much that. Either on my computer or in the theater. I did not pay for these films in the theater because I just, I either snuck into them or I just, saw it on my computer for free and streamed it because I don't want to. These films did not deserve any of my money. The movies that did deserve my money are on my best list, and I'll talk about those later next time in my next video. So let me take a drink. This is brought to you by Turkey Hill Iced Tea. Good stuff. It's got some sugar in it, but it has 90 calories, so it's not that bad. Okay, let's get started. Oh, by the way, this is my list, not yours. You have a worse list, just mention it in the comment box. But don't be an asshole, because I really, really want to get this out of the way, especially the worst list. Because these films, some of these films really pissed me off. Some of them were unnecessary sequels. Some were just movies I thought were mediocre. I didn't think they were like all the worst films of all time. Just films that I didn't care for. I was gonna start this video with a song, but I'm not the greatest singer, and I just want to do this and get it out of the way. So, to make make a long story short, number 10 is Into the Storm. Yes, the effects in this movie are not a problem. I think the effects of disasters in the movie are good. The actors, they're hit or miss for me. I like the actor that plays Thorn from the Hobbit films, and Nathan Kress, he plays a camera guy like, Freddy from iCarly. But the rest of the film is just blah. It's just a lame, just, not interesting way. The way the film was made, it's like if Twister was made into a found footage film, and I don't think that worked for this. This was really tedious. It just when there's no disasters, the movie's boring, and it just didn't get me invested. I didn't care about the drama between this guy and his girlfriend in school. I didn't care about the family was just kind of forgettable. The disasters hit when they hit. It was nice it was fun to see, but when it's not, it's like it's just the show's over. In Twister, you had characters you cared about, like Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton, and even Carrie Elwes as that asshole, got like rival of Bill Paxton. He's fun to watch, but there's nobody memorable in this film. I mean, there's no villain. I mean, the villain's pretty much Mother Nature, and that can only carry a film for so far. But yeah, Into the Storm. It's not a film I would buy. I completely forgot about it. That's why I'm not, throwing so much anger at it because it was just lame, and I would not see it again because Twister did it better back in the '90s, and it's just forgettable. I don't ever want to see it again. So that's number 10. Now number 9 is a comedy. I did not laugh. I maybe chuckled twice in the theater. This was very unfunny. It was very mean spirited. It had some shitty CGI, and that was Tammy. Yeah, Melissa McCarthy. I'm tired of her playing the same character. She's a fat, over loud, freaking obnoxious woman in almost every film she's in, except for Bridesmaids. Bridesmaids, she worked in that. Here, I don't care for her. She's this blonde, fat lady that loses her job and freaking is mean and just she's obnoxious to people. She talks feet to says these stupid jokes. I think I blame her for the writing because her and her husband wrote this movie and it sucks. It's not funny. I hated some of the jokes. Like she tells this guy, I hope she takes drugs and bites your face off. I'm like, that's not funny. That's just mean spirited. And the fact that this movie made money, it's beyond me. I mean, come on. A movie like this makes money, and there's comedies that are way better that didn't do anything this year. And it was very badly written. I mean, a lot of actresses are wasted in this movie, like Kathy Bates is wasted, and the Toni Collette. I don't like her anyway. I thought she was useless in the film. I didn't care for her. cheating on Melissa McCarthy's husband in the film. I didn't care for the love story. The guy that she's with is a nice guy and he's decent in the film, but it doesn't save the film. It's just really mean. It tries to have these dramatic moments that don't work. That she thinks that Susan Sarandon is dead, and they try to and she cries. She does a decent performance in that scene, but it's bogged down because she's not really dead. She was just asleep. It's mean. I mean, the scene in the beginning when she crashes her car to that CGI deer just reminds me of Grown Ups 2, and I don't want to be reminded of that movie, even though I haven't seen it. Just the CG deer was not needed. It's a movie if you've seen before. If you've seen, I've seen better road trip films. I saw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's much better than this. Due Date was better than this. Even Road Trip from the year 2000, that was better than this because at least those films had some heart and they knew what they were. They weren't trying to be like this melodramatic bullshit and mixed with a comedy. It makes it very uneasy to watch. And I hated this movie in the theater. It's one of the worst comedies of 2014, and I'm glad that I didn't see a Haunted House 2 or any other comedies like this because it was very lackluster. Bad summer movie. Thumbs down for Tammy. Okay, number 8. This is the first movie that made $100 million in the U.S. It did not deserve it. It doesn't deserve a sequel that it's getting in 2 years. This movie annoyed me. I don't think it's funny, and that is Ride Along. Yeah, Kevin Hart annoyed me in this movie. He's just a loud, obnoxious black guy and I have no problems with black guys in films. And there's a lot of movies I have that like Friday and the Friday sequels and All About the Benjamins. They're 10 times better than this movie. Ice Cube has no chemistry with Kevin Hart whatsoever. It's just a paycheck movie for him. And I've seen him better in the Friday sequels and All About the Benjamins with Mike Epps. Mike Epps is funnier than Kevin Hart. I'm going to say that right now. I don't give a damn about Kevin Hart's stand-up. He's this short, obnoxious douchebag that's like in every movie. He's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It annoyed me. I couldn't take it. It was like freaking nails on a chalkboard every time he talked. I think his girlfriend in the movie was pretty cute. I thought she was pretty sexy. She didn't bother me. He did. The only thing that made me smile in the movie was the ringtone he had on his phone. It was the Super Mario Brothers theme. That is the only thing I liked in this movie. The only thing in a movie that's like an hour and a half, and it made so much money, and it's a shitty comedy. One of the worst PG-13 action comedies I've ever seen in my life. And I did not pay for this. I was not going to go to the theater in January to see this travesty. A lot of actors are wasted in this movie, like Lawrence Fishburne. He's barely in the film. I really forgot the movie. It's so forgettable. I mean, I've seen better buddy cop films that did it better and didn't make $100 million. I'll take Beverly Hills Cop 3 over this any day, and I'm not going to take that back because at least that movie it didn't make $100 million domestically, and I thought Eddie Murphy he's funnier. His worst films are better than anything Kevin Hart's ever done. I mean, the guy did 3 movies this year, and I didn't see 2 of them. He also did the remake of About Last Night, and he did the Think Like a Man 2, which is another stupid movie. I mean, I'm tired of these comedies. I really am. Kevin Hart, just go away, do your stand-up, stay away from films. You're not funny on film. You're just annoying. You're like a shorter version of Chris Tucker, and I don't even care for him. I'm glad he's not doing as many films anymore because it's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It annoys me. I'm sorry. It annoys me. Ice Cube, some people have a problem with his acting. I don't. It's just in this movie he just looked bored. I hate seeing him in this movie. It's sad that he's wasted in this film with this annoying douchebag Kevin Hart. He's like, you know what? I know how to shoot a gun because I play this video game. I'm like, that goes on for like half the film. That he can shoot a gun because he plays like these freaking first person shooters on the Xbox or something. It's useless. It's a stupid movie. Fuck this movie. Fuck the sequel. And fuck Kevin Hart. He ruined this movie. And the fact that this movie was made by Tim Story, a guy that did Fantastic Four, which I like that movie. It's much better than this, and it's funnier. So fuck Ride Along. I never want to see it again. Get out of my face. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, we got 7 more films. Number 7 is Frankenstein, aka I hate this freaking movie. Aaron Eckhart was completely wasted in this movie. You wasted his talent. The guy has like this same expression on his face. He's like so serious in the movie. Everybody in this movie treats this movie like it's a freaking epic film, and it's not. It's a shitty Underworld knockoff. I don't like the CGI. I don't like the story. I think it's useless. It's nothing like the Frankenstein monster from the 1940s that was done by the great Boris Karloff. Rest in peace, man. That's a great Frankenstein movie. This isn't Frankenstein. This is some fan fiction version of Frankenstein. Bill Nye plays the same character that he did in the Underworld prequel. He's useless as a villain. He's not intimidating. He's just over the top, and it's useless. It's a nothing role. Um, Yvonne Strahovski, I think her name is, the girl from Chuck. I never cared about this actress. Take your Aussie ass and get out of the film. You're not funny. You're useless. You're not ugly, but I don't care for you. Jai Courtney completely wasted in this movie. He did more in Die Hard 5, and I prefer that over this. That didn't bore me as much as this. Aaron Eckhart does all this action against these freaking gargoyles and shit, and it's stupid. It's stupid. It's not fun. It's just boring. And this pacing in this movie is awful. I mean, I Frankenstein has a worse pacing than any of the Underworld films, and I've only seen the fourth one, and I didn't like that, and I thought this was just as bad. Because you got a leading actor that you wasted and make him have the same expression on his face, and we have to see his abs. Aaron Eckhart did bulk up for this film, but it was not worth it. He was better in The Dark Knight. I can say that right now. He was better in Olympus Has Fallen and a ton of other movies. This was garbage. I'm glad this movie flopped. I don't want to see a sequel or a direct-to-video spin-off or anything. No. I'm tired of these knockoffs of Underworld. Priest, I thought was okay. This was utter garbage, and I'm glad audiences did not bite. I'm glad this film failed. Critically and financially, it deserved what it got, and I never want to see it again. Okay. Number 6. As if Twilight wasn't bad enough, and now you got these knockoffs that have come out in the last couple of years. You had freaking, what was it? Not Zombieland. That was before, that was like around 2009. You had freaking Warm Bodies, which I don't give a fuck about, Beautiful Creatures, and Mortal Instruments, and The Host. Like, if those weren't bad enough, now we got Vampire Academy. Oh my god, this movie was so boring. Oh man, this movie sucked ass. I hated this movie. This is just as bad as the Twilight films. It's not funny. It's not witty. It's not entertaining. It's just dull. These two actresses, the lead girls, the blonde chick is about as appealing as Driftwood, and what? Not Vanessa Morano. The girl from I forgot her name. The one that plays the brunette in the film. She was cute. She tried the best that she could with this shitty script. I mean, I'm really tired of these tween vampire things. I'm tired of them. Please get them out of our theaters. They're polluting our freaking the authenticity of films. I'm tired. Just make vampire films R-rated and gory. That's what I want. I'm tired of these romantic bullshit movies. I swear the story in this movie goes nowhere. It's way too long. It feels like it's an hour and 40 minutes. It feels like 2 hours. The acting sucks on all levels. There's nothing interesting in the movie. Olga Kurylenko's in the film for like a little bit, and she's hot in the film, but she's completely wasted. Sarah Hyland is completely wasted, and she's beautiful. If you've seen Geek Charming, you know what I'm talking about. She can be used right. Here, wasted, just like in Scary Movie 5. And it was sad to see her. And oh, the twist is that she's evil. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming at all. Fuck you, Vampire Academy. I'm tired of movies like this. And it was made by the guy that directed Mean Girls. I like Mean Girls. I think that's a better film, and that was made 10 years ago with Lindsay Lohan. It was the last good movie she made before her destructive, behavior. And it's better. It's better written. Tina Fey is a better writer than whoever wrote this travesty. I mean, nobody can write for shit in this movie. It's horrible. It's one of the worst vampire things I've ever seen. And these two girls are like, oh, bite me. I could save you. Oh, bite me. I'm like, it's stupid. And the gore is just, it's not funny. At least if it was funny and I could laugh at it, I'm like, yeah, no. The blonde girl's acting makes me laugh because it's so terrible. Oh my god, this movie sucks. Avoid this. If you've seen Twilight and you don't think it can get any worse, see this or see the host. They're much more boring. And I'm glad this flopped. It doesn't deserve money. People are tired of the Twilight craze. Hollywood, we were done with Twilight in 2012. After Breaking Dawn Part 2, it should have been over. These movies don't work anymore. The only thing that ever works now that's based on a book that young people like is The Hunger Games. So don't fuck with this. Okay? This is the only thing that makes money anymore based on a book. I don't care about Divergent. That's why I didn't see it. And I don't care about this. Get it out of the theater now, please. I'm tired of these freaking vampire stories. I mean, what else we had this year that was vampires? That Dracula Untold. I skipped that because I knew it was gonna suck. And then you have this. Stop this vampireism. It's not working anymore. True Blood should have been over last year. It's done. Move on. That's all I can say about that. Stupid piece of garbage. Okay, number 5. This is a controversial pick, but I don't care. You know, I hated this sequel. I thought this sequel was unnecessary. It did not improve on the first film. There were just a few things I liked in this film, but let me say the name of it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is what the studio can take. The first movie sucked, and it was worse than this, but this I completely hated too. There were a few things I liked in this movie. Emma Stone was still good, and it sucks that she dies at the end. And it's not a spoiler because everybody knows she dies. They showed it in the trailer. 2, the costume looks better than the first film. 3, the score actually isn't that bad. And 4, some people are trying to give a performance, but the script is so shitty that it just destroys the whole thing. I mean, Sally Field, she tried, but failed because the script sucks. And Paul Giamatti and freaking Jamie Foxx, they're completely wasted in this movie. It sucks. This film I thought was worse than Spider-Man 3. Yes, I said it, and I'm not taking that back, bitches. I refuse to call Spider-Man 3 the worst Spider-Man movie. I think this is worse. You got 3 villains. 3. Just like Spider-Man 3. 2 of the villains are underused, and they don't do anything. They're on screen for like 5 seconds. The first villain you could have cut out, Rhino, should not have been in the film at all. Paul Giamatti is some Russian cartoon character, and he's like, I killed Spider! And I'm like, I couldn't take it. It was so stupid. I mean, he's wasted. He's in the film for 5 minutes. He's in the beginning, which is an action scene. It's like the only competent action scene I thought was okay at best. And then he's at the end, and then the movie cuts. The ending is a big slap in the face of Spider-Man fans. And I've been a fan of Spider-Man since I was a kid. And these movies just suck ass. Sony, give the rights back to Marvel. Please. I'm begging you. Get Andrew Garfield out of this franchise. I don't care about him. He sucks as Spider-Man. He's a douchebag Peter Parker. His freaking Edward hair is annoying as hell. I'm sick of the repetitive dialogue like, Aunt May, or Peter. They say the same freaking dialogue like twice in this movie. And the writing is terrible. I mean, Jamie Foxx is like a cartoon in this movie, and he's a good actor. See Ray, you'll see a good performance out of him. Even Dreamgirls, he was better than that, and than this movie, and that was years ago, and he didn't even get an Oscar for that. But oh my god, he's just Electro looks like a Sith Lord. He's horrible, the visual effects look like shit. The scene in Times Square, people are standing there like they're watching a show on Broadway, and I'm like, get out of there. You're going to get killed. This guy has electricity out of his hands. And he could blast your freaking skull off, blow your freaking head off. And people are just standing there. And then his voice sounded ridiculous. He's like, a world without power. A world without Spider-Man. I'm like, oh my god, this movie is freaking awful. And I'm glad it made the lowest money out of all the movies. Because it's shitty. It was just a commercial film. It was a studio picture. It wasn't a Spider-Man movie. He's barely in the movie. And here it doesn't work. Dark Knight Rises, at least I can laugh at Bane. Freaking, the new Godzilla, which I'm going to get to, it's not in my worst list. When Godzilla appeared on screen, I freaking creamed my pants. It was one of the best moments I had in the theater. This movie gave me nothing. The score by Hans Zimmer was good. It was like... It was actually pretty decent, but the movie is boring. It's over 2 hours long. What did people see in this movie? It's boring. And Green Goblin, Harry Osborn is barely used in the film. And, Dane DeHaan, he was good in Chronicle. Here, he's wasted. And then at the end, he looks like an evil Ed from Fright Night, and he kills Gwen Stacy. He was only in the film to kill Gwen Stacy. That's it. And he's barely in the movie. And then the fight at the end with Spider-Man and Electro. It's a freaking... It looks like a music video. It's like... Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is not a movie. This is a freaking music video. And I'm sorry, Mark Webb. I'd rather see 500 Days of Summer on a loop than to see this movie or the first one again. I hated this movie. It's one of the worst sequels of the year. Overblown, way too long, way too boring. Been there, done that. Stealing from the previous films. You underusing your villains. Freaking, you casted this freaking idiot that can't act his way out of a box. I didn't even care about him in The Social Network. I'm sorry. I liked Jesse Eisenberg better. Sony, give the rights back to Marvel. They have made tons of movies in this decade that I freaking loved. And I'm going to get to that in my best of list. 2 of them are on my best of list. So they're doing things right. You are fucking up Spider-Man. Stop it. Let it go. Please. Reboot it. Get a new actor. Get a new storyline. Get rid of the love story. We're tired of love stories. It's in like 50% of the movies nowadays. Half of the movies nowadays, comedies, dramas, action films, sci-fi films, thrillers, horror films, they have love stories and sometimes they're out of place. Fault in Our Stars worked because it worked for the source material. But in a Spider-Man movie, we want to see Spidey kicking ass, giving good quips, and fighting villains that are actually in the movie more than 5 minutes. Electro's in the film the most, but he does nothing. He does nothing. He fights Peter in Times Square. I'm not even going to call him Spider-Man because it's useless. It doesn't feel like Spider-Man. And then he's locked up for like half the film. Are you freaking kidding me? That's not good writing. That's not good pacing. It's just bad. It's freaking useless. I don't know why this movie was even in theaters. It didn't feel cheap. It's just the movie's it didn't deserve the budget it got. Avengers, that's how you do it right. Right here. That's how you do a fun movie. You don't bore the audience to tears and you don't underuse your villain. I guarantee you Ultron is going to be used right in freaking Age of Ultron. You're not going to see him for 5 minutes. You're going to see him and his drones destroying and kicking ass and fighting the Avengers. You're not going to wait until half the film to see that. Trust me. I know because I can feel it in my bones. I'm so excited about that movie. It's going to kick the shit out of this and any Spider-Man movie the next 10 years. Guarantee it. Maybe if Spider-Man is in the Avengers, he'll have some justice done. But this movie sucks. I'm glad that it didn't do as well as the first one. I'm glad that it didn't do better than the Raimi films. Spider-Man 2 is the real sequel. That movie kicked ass. That movie was fun. That movie had a villain that was awesome. That film had good pacing. That film, while it has problems with the love story or whatever, if you cut the love story out, the movie would have been a 10 out of 10 for me. And for a lot of other people. Those action sequences worked. Those visual effects still look great. That movie had a better story and it had a faster pace and it just flowed better. It just feels more like a Spider-Man movie. This felt like commercial garbage. I hated it. I will never love this movie. If you like it, that's fine. I'm not going to say you're idiots. You can like whatever you want, but I hate this movie. It's one of the worst of the year, and it didn't make my bottom 4 because there were 2 films. There were 2 sequels that were much worse than this, and I'll get to that soon. So, fuck Amazing Spider-Man. This franchise is dead to me until Marvel gets the rights back. Okay, so after that debacle, let's get to number 4. Number 4 was a very boring, very laughable, very lackluster, very stupid movie, The Legend of Hercules. Yeah, more like The Legend of the Turd. Ugh, excuse me. Anyway, this movie was boring. I streamed this. I saw a BitTorrent of this movie. It was dull. The acting is lifeless. Kalen Lutz is freaking dry in this film. Like I said before, the only good movie he's done is Arena. That's it. I cannot stand this actor. He doesn't deserve all this work. Jeff Speakman, Mark Dacascos, freaking Michael Wincott, these guys deserved more theatrical releases than this schmuck face. I hate this actor. He's boring. He's just no life to him whatsoever. And I saw Abduction with Taylor Lautner, and that was better. This movie just does no. It doesn't interest me. I'd rather see the Hercules movie with The Rock, and I will see that movie sometime next year. He is a better actor than freaking Kalen Lutz. This film is boring. The CGI is terrible. The film looks really cheap. And I'm sorry to say this, but what's his face? Scott Adkins is the most over the top king I've ever seen in a freaking fantasy film. His acting's horrible here. I'd rather see him in freaking Undisputed 3. At least there he's more subtle. Here he's terrible. He's like, I'm gonna yell about everything, and I'm like, oh my god, this movie. Oh god, this was so painful to watch. It was short, but it still felt boring. I mean, even the love story goes nowhere. I mean, there's a scene where Hercules is freaking pulling these chains off of this rock, and he swings it like a freaking, like I don't know what, like a freaking like a slingshot or whatever, and like a sling, and it looks terrible. It's obviously CG. It looks so horrible. And it's just, even the costumes look cheap in this movie. It's a horrendous movie I never want to see again. I'm glad it bombed. A lot of these movies bombed and they deserved it immensely. Oh god, that was painful to watch. And I never want to see a sequel to this. Please. Spare us the freaking agony. I'm begging you. Please, don't give Kalen Lutz another movie like this. It'll hurt my insides. So, fuck Legend of Hercules. It's one of the most boring things I saw this year. Okay, now this one I've been waiting for a while since the summer to rant on this. It's the number 3 spot, Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. Michael Bay, you can go fuck yourself. You directed this movie and you could have done so much better with this. So much wasted potential. I'm going to say the only 2 good things in this movie. Mark Wahlberg is not the problem with this movie. I know a lot of people said he was dry. Believe me, he's the best thing in this bad situation. And some of the CGI, some of the effects look good, but it's boring. This movie was almost 3 hours long. It was as long as The Dark Knight Rises, and it felt long. The middle part of the film, it drags on and on, like that song, Don't Stop Believing. This movie, it goes on and on and on and on and on. I'm like, oh my god, this movie sucks my dick so hard. Oh my god. It's boring. I've seen all this before in the first 3 films, and they're not the worst things I've ever seen. The third movie alone, the last fight battle, was fun to watch. This was dull. The comic relief is not funny. Stanley Tucci is over the top like a cartoon. He says he does it like this. I'm gonna do it the same way, like with his face. Oh my god! I'm like, Michael Bay, are you trying to direct a freaking cartoon? The cartoon from the 80s was better. Hell, the animated movie from 86 is better. Has a kick-ass score and soundtrack, and it's a fun movie, despite Optimus getting killed. But I can overlook that because the Dinobots were used better in that film. Grimlock talked. Grimlock did something in the second half of the film, of that movie. This movie, you don't see the Dinobots for over 2 hours. Over 2 freaking hours. Why? You called this Age of Extinction. You said the Dinobots are going to be in the film more. They're in the last 20 or 30 minutes of the film, and they only have like 10 minutes of screen time. It's bullshit. You lied to your audience, and you know I hate that when you do that in a trailer. Oh, the Dinobots are going to be the biggest thing in the film. They're going to draw audiences. No, because this film in the U.S., it didn't make as much as the first 3 films. And I can see why. It's too freaking long. I'm sorry. It wasn't fun to watch this in the theater. And Stanley Tucci said one line that I was like, you know, I know how you're feeling. He's like, why can't things go work out the way I want it? I'm like, I said in the theater, I don't know. I don't, because people don't know what they're doing anymore. You know? 2 hours to see the Dinobots. It took less time to see Godzilla in the new movie, which once again I'll get to. This movie, 2.5, it was almost 3 hours. And it was boring. I don't know how many times I could say it. The action wasn't exciting at all. When they transformed, it looked like shit. When they get destroyed, it looks like shit. The story is just, oh, they're trying to create new Transformers with Transformium or whatever. It's a ripoff of Avatar's unobtainium bullshit. And it's useless. This wasn't needed. Nicola Peltz, the girl that played, Mark Wahlberg's daughter, she's not that bad. I know a lot of people hate her from Airbender, but I don't think she's the worst thing ever. She's at least a better actress than Megan Fox. But this movie bored the shit out of me. The middle act, if you haven't seen this movie and you see the middle act, you are going to be bored out of your skull. People say, oh, it's not that bad. It was bad to me. I'd rather see the first film again all the way through with the commentary than to sit through this travesty again. I'm glad Shia LaBeouf is no longer in these films. They're going to get excessively worse as the years go by. And I love robots like Transformers. I've always loved the Transformers, and this movie just killed it for me for a while. I'm not watching the next film. After this, I don't want to see a 3-hour movie. And I'm tired of Michael Bay. Just do R-rated movies, direct something different, stop touching this franchise. You're ruining it, you're pissing all over the fans, and you don't care. And I swear, every single scene in this movie, like 90% of the scenes, there's an action scene, something blows up for no reason. A car blows up, or a house blows up, or a building blows up, or a freaking railroad blows up, or one of the Transformers blows up. It gets tiring. I was spent by the third act. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Oh, the freaking Dinobots are flying and running through the city. I don't care. It's boring. This movie did nothing. Galvatron's barely in the film. They want to set up a new villain for Optimus to fight, and he's barely in the film. He's in the background, and he's like, I'll get you next time, Optimus. And I'm like, I'm not going to see it because I'm not going to go through this travesty again. You want a better film than this? See Pacific Rim. I don't care what the haters say. It's shorter than this movie, and it didn't feel like it took forever. At least the robot action was better than this movie. I mean, come on. $1 billion worldwide, it didn't deserve a penny. Fuck this movie, fuck the 5th movie, and the 6th, and Michael Bay for doing this, and for screwing up Ninja Turtles. No, it's not on my list because I refused to watch that movie in the theater. The freaking chud-looking freaking Shrek Hulks with that don't do martial arts. Go screw yourself, Michael Bay. Producing this garbage and producing and directing Transformers 4. Age of Extinction, yeah, the franchise is extinct to me. At least the freaking live action movies. The cartoon will live forever. This is dead to me. And I'm done talking about it. Oh, man. I still got 2 more films to go through. And this is number 2. This was the biggest disappointment. Well, Transformers 4 was the biggest disappointment. This is my second biggest disappointment. And I had some hope for this film, but when they announced the PG-13 and they neutered this film and they replaced the old people with the young people, it pissed me off, and that is Expendables 3. Why, Stallone? Why? The first movie kicks ass. I saw it in the theater, loved it. I have it on DVD, saw it again, still holds up. Second movie has some problems, I admit it. There's some pacing issues, it needed more action, and they needed to cut some of the comedy. But the ending was way better than this. At least you have Bruce Willis, Sly Stallone, and Arnold kicking ass, and a bunch of other stuff happening. This was boring. Okay? We didn't need this. Patrick Hughes is a shitty director when it comes to this. The script sucked. The CGI was god-awful. I hated the CGI in this movie. It's some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen bad CGI in a freaking, what was it, like a $90 million budget? It looked like shit. Sharknado looked better than this. I'm sorry. And that was like a $1.5 million budget compared to a $90 million budget. With actors, I don't care about the new people. They all sucked in this movie. 50 minutes without the Expendables. 50 minutes. after Terry Crews gets hurt. 50 minutes with Kelsey Grammer and Sylvester Stallone and Sly Stallone. Barney are looking for freaking Kalen Lutz, who sucks, and I already said he sucked in Legend of Hercules. He sucked hard in this movie too. Freaking Victor Ortiz, I don't know who this guy is. He sucked in this movie. Glenn Powell, some background actor from The Dark Knight Rises that I didn't care for. He's the tech guy. Yeah, take your tech and shove it. And then Ronda Rousey. I can't stand this woman. I love women. But this woman sucks. She cannot act. Oh, she can fight. And she has one of the worst lines in action movie history. Men. Really? You're going to diss on us guys? We made this genre freaking rock, sister, okay? You can't act your way out of a box. If you had acted in the 80s, if you were even born, we wouldn't have had a career at all. And I'm tired of these Expendables movies. 2, there were some problems, but it could have been fixed. This just killed it for me. And I don't want to see a part 4. I'm tired of these movies. I'm tired of them neutering the films. Oh, we got to appeal to the younger demographic. They don't care about action movies anymore. 90% of the younglings, people that are under 18, they don't give a shit about Expendables or Transformers. They don't. Oh, it was so neutered. The PG-13 hurt this film a lot. There's no blood. There's barely any good action that's worth a shit. Wesley Snipes was underused. Jason Statham was underused. He almost died making this film and it wasn't worth it. The only good things in the movie are Mel Gibson as the villain and Harrison Ford. He was good. He hardly ever does a bad performance. He's the man. He will play a kick-ass Han Solo in Episode 7, and I'm not taking that back. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm pulling for him. This movie sucks. I hate it. It was an hour and 50 minutes. It felt like 2 hours. It was painful to see in the theater. I was just like, really? This cheap bullshit direct-to-video sequel is a freaking theatrical release? And the film didn't do well in the U.S., and I'm glad. It only made like $39 million on a budget of $90. That's a flop, people. It made over $100 million worldwide, but oh my god, it did not deserve a penny. The newbie sucked. The story sucked. The dialogue sucked. The directing sucked. The CGI sucked. The end fight sucks with Arnold. I mean, not with Arnold, with Mel Gibson and Stallone fighting for 40 seconds, and he's like, I am the Hag. No, this is stupid. Arnold being underused. Jet Li being underused. Fight scenes that are not worth a damn. Dolph giving him nothing to do. Randy Couture and Terry Crews underused. You give Antonio Banderas more action, and yet he's the most annoying guy I've seen in a movie in a long time. He won't shut the fuck up. And I was like, please shut up. Banderas, please shut up. I'm begging you, shut your freaking mouth. I'm sick and tired of you talking. He's talking like 500 words a minute. It's like, and I couldn't stand it in the theater. I'm like, shut up. Please shut up. He's not good in this movie. He's annoying. He was more or less annoying in the Shrek sequels. And I can tolerate him in that. After seeing this, I didn't want to see a movie for him in months. The last film I saw with him was Interview with a Vampire, and he's underused, and that was great. Because after this, I didn't want to see him in a movie for like a year. But oh my god, he annoyed me. Just nobody knew was even good in this film. And Robert Davi, a capable actor, does nothing. He says 2 words, he gets killed off, and you don't see him again. Yay. Oh my god, I could see why Rambaraf put this in as two of the worst films of the year. It is my number 2 because number 1 was worse, I think, because it was even more unnecessary. So, fuck Expendables 3, kiss my ass, suck my dick, and lick my taint. You will never be in my collection. I hate you with all my heart. I hated the fact that this new to the franchise. Bring on Expendables. I'm going to say that right now. Women have been kicking ass on the big screen in the last 5 years. You had the Hunger Games, and you had Tangled, and you had freaking Frozen, and you had well, Brave did okay. Women, I think, could do better than these guys. I'm sorry. I would take an Expendables, or hell, even a B movie Expendables with action stars that have not gotten their chance to shine. Like I said before, Jeff Speakman, Marta Coscos, Jeff Wincott, the guy from The Raid. I don't care, just somebody good. Please. Stop giving us these newbies that we don't care about, that we completely forgotten about. And the movie's forgettable. I don't remember anything good in the movie, besides the two actors that I said tried. Mel Gibson and Harrison Ford. But, man, this was a chore to get through. Man, I hate this movie so much. Man, I wish this movie had never been in the theater. It should have been on direct-to-video, or on Netflix, or streamed on demand, because it does not deserve any money in the theater. So, that's all I can say about Expendables 3. It sucked. 2 thumbs down. Limp dick. Hated it. Never want to see it ever again. Extended edition, fuck that. It's going to have like 5 minutes of CGI blood. Don't want to go through it again. It's too aggravating. Okay, and now the final film. The worst abomination of 2014. No, it's not the new Ninja Turtles movie. I refuse to see it. I don't want to see it. It would have been my worst if it wasn't for this film I saw earlier. And this film came out in February. It was an unneeded remake. And that is the 2014 version of RoboCop. Oh my fucking god, this movie was abysmal. The suit looked like shit from the first photos, the set photos when I saw them back in 2012. It looked horrendous. It's like Iron Man, Venom, and the Christian Bale Batman suit had a baby and you made this abomination. Joel Kinnaman get a what sucked in this movie. And there's only like one scene that made me laugh, and it made Mike OCP Communications, a good guy here on YouTube, laugh as well, because there's a scene that he's destroyed, and his whole body's destroyed, and he's just like a head on a stick, and then they show him what he looks like, and he's like, "Holy Christ, holy Christ!" That was funny, but the rest of the movie is painful. The action sucks. The beginning of the movie is like, this is what you see. You see. This is how the whole film went out. I'm going to try to demonstrate it in less than 30 minutes. Samuel Jackson doing that shit. The beginning of the film is like this. You see the suicide bombers. You see these cool looking robots that actually, they didn't look that bad, but because the camera's moving like this, you can't see what's going on. You don't have a steady cam. Jose Quesadilla don't direct the movie. He makes the camera jump. It looks terrible. You see what I just did? That's what happened throughout the first like 15 minutes of the movie. It looks like District 9 and Elysium, but with even worse shaky cam, and I hated it. I hated every second of this movie. It was an unneeded remake that we did not need, and I'm tired of movies being remade just for the money. It's not even about trying to make a better film. I can't believe that this happened. I cannot believe it. This is a remake that I wish had never existed. If it was never made, I would have been happy. The first 2 films are classics. You're not going to beat them. The 3rd movie sucked. You could have made a 4th film with Peter Weller doing the voice of RoboCop in an animated film. It would have been better than this. Why was this movie made? Why? Oh, for the money. It flopped in the U.S., people. The DVD and Blu-ray sales were in the toilet. It didn't do like Dredd. Dredd actually got a freaking cult following on DVD and Blu-ray, and it deserved it. It's a better movie. It's R-rated. It has memorable action. The villain is better. The villain here is completely useless. What is his name? Valiant or Valion or whatever the hell his name is? Useless. Michael Keaton, he thinks he's in a comedy. Gary Oldman, seriously underused. Abby Cornish, I said it before in Sucker Punch, I'll say it again. I don't like this actress. Go back to Aussie land and fuck off. You cannot copy the performance that was made by the woman that played Murphy's wife in the first film. You can't. Oh, to be different, besides the god-awful looking suit, Uh, Lewis is a black male in this movie. Not that I have a thing about black. Like I said, I'm not a racist. It would have been fine, but just the fact that it's a remake, it pisses me off. Lewis could have been a black woman. It wouldn't have bothered me at all. Hell, it would have made the movie better. This movie sucks. We didn't need it. It is a robo-bukkake because you're getting jizzed on in the face and you're blinded and you can't see what's going on. With all that shaky cam and shit, how are you ever gonna know if the movie, what's going on? The action scenes have no impact. The original, when he shot people, you see the blood squibs, you see them falling, you see a ton of gore. And this, he tasers people, and that's it. There's no impact. The PG-13 hurt it. It hurt RoboCop 3 and it hurt this. I can see why it's considered one of the worst films of the year. Disappointing, boring, stupid, lame, and just a half-assed version of the original. RoboCop 2 has better visuals, better action, and a better story than this. Oh my god, this is horrible. This is the worst movie for me. Because I saw this before the new Turtles film even came out in theaters. And I hated every second of it. If you liked it, that's fine. I think it's shitty. Even using the theme, they don't use the theme that much in the movie. It's like they have to talk over it, so it's an insult to fans of the original. And the stealing lines from the first film, like I wouldn't buy that for $1. You can't buy this equipment for $1, or Dead or Alive, you're coming with me. You're not gonna top Peter Weller. I'm sorry. The guy that did the show, the Canadian RoboCop TV series from the 90s, is better than you. I'm sorry. This movie sucks. I never want to see it again. I'm glad it's forgotten about. I'm glad I don't want to see a sequel. It sucked. It's not a good movie. Ed 209s, there's a bunch of them. Oh, they're CGI. Yeah, because you can't do a practical robot anymore. Yeah. Even iRobot looks better than this garbage. And I'd rather see that. At least that movie didn't cost $130 million. And then the movie has Will Smith, who's a great lead compared to this guy, this foreign Swedish douchebag. So, fuck the RoboCop remake. It can take this and shove it. It's the worst film I've seen all year. I had no hope from this movie. I was not interested in seeing this in the theater. I'm glad I didn't. It sucks. It gets a thumbs down here, thumbs down there. You suck. Jose Quesadilla, stop directing because you can't direct for shit. Joel Kinnaman, stick to television because I don't want to see you on the big screen again. Holy Christ, holy Christ. Yeah. Trying to sound gangster like, yo, what up, man? What's up? You feeling me or whatever? No. Stop it. Talk about a wasted movie. You know, we could have had a reboot that we cared about, but this was not it. It sucks. Avoid this film if you haven't watched it. It sucks. These are my top 10 films I hated. There could have been more, but I didn't want to see 20 films this year. 10 was enough. So I'll see you next time in the next video. It'll be more positive. I got all of that on my system. I'm so glad, and I'm relieved now. And I will talk to you guys in the next one, my honorable mentions and my best of the year. So I'll see you guys in a little while.